Let's go ahead and get started with the training. Okay, so starting again, it seems like the virus comes up in every conversation right now, every news channel. And if you're feeling anxious, overwhelmed, stressed, please know you're not alone. Having an unknown future is really scary. And the pandemic is real and we need to be careful, but we still can be peaceful. And that's really my goal today. So in today's call, we're going to talk about how to manage stress without emotional eating. I'm going to go over how to manage your stress, overcome overwhelm, work through your body's cravings with all the stocked up food around, and see the shining light on the other side with so much peace and control. So Shelby, no problem. I'm an emotional eater and I need this. Okay, I will make sure this is fixed. This just means like everyone else that I sent this to is just getting the triangle. That's hilarious and annoying. I'm sorry, I'll fix that. So the techniques that I'm sharing with you today are the ones that I use myself to help me and my clients get through stress without turning to food and navigate all this uncertainty as gracefully as possible. I can't even imagine how hard it would have been, to be locked up at home and with so much food around, like stocked up in the pantry, especially when I was struggling. I used to struggle immensely with binge and emotional eating, overeating. I had eating disorders. I was bulimic. And I want you to be set up for this time as best as possible. Just Christy and I were talking, okay, how can we support you, and just the thought of so many women struggling right now with food during this time period on top of everything else honestly breaks my heart. But I want to tell you that this is 100% avoidable, even if your fridge is loaded for days, okay? So, which is why I wanted to do this free coaching call. So we're gonna cover 3 main topics. So if you're watching this, get a pen and notebook. And if you cannot have a pen and notebook right now, don't worry, I will get you the download that is not just a triangle. It's the Maslow's, the triangle is gonna make sense. I'll explain it in a little bit. So the 3 things that we're gonna cover, how to manage stress and get out of famine mode or stress mode, which I'll talk about. Number 2 is preventing emotional eating, the difference between emotional eating and numbing out, and then a tool on how to change the way you feel. And then the 3rd thing I'm going to go over today is the 3 tools to crush emotional eating. Okay? Really excited. It's jam-packed. So, I really want to equip you for this time in regards to your relationship with food and set you up for success. So it's really common, to go for control. Like, let's try to control this thing. Tools, tactics, which honestly, don't work, right? Like a tactic would be like, oh, we'll just go chew gum. They make you crave more food and we don't want that. So I'm going to talk about a new methodology to work with your body and your brain so you can have a better relationship with food. Okay, so step 1, we need to get out of survival mode. Okay, so let's talk about survival mode. Your body is wired for survival. Its only job in a crisis is to help you store nutrients and fuel in your body for the days and weeks to come in case you're in a famine. So there are 2 ways survival mode happens. Your behavior with food and then what's happening in our world right now, right? A lot of stress. So let's look at your physiology as it pertains to food. So right now, in general, when someone feels like food is being controlled, meaning like you're on a diet, you're trying to go low carb, you're watching what you eat, your intake is actually limited, maybe you're counting calories, your brain switches into famine mode, okay? An alarm goes on, your brain freaks out and makes you eat and eat and eat and makes you think about food all the time. It makes you more susceptible to emotionally eat and use food in times of stress because your brain thinks food is restricted. So get this, even if you're eating plenty of calories, or maybe you say to me, but I'm binge eating all day. There's no way my body's in a famine. Okay? It doesn't matter. If you are still eating, but just not quite eating to satiation, or maybe you've been yo-yo dieting and binging, so maybe you were like, do really, really good on your diet, or you do really, really good all day, and then you're binge eating at night, or you do really, really good for like 3 or 4 days and then you just lose it, your body interprets that as a famine response. So let me say that again. If you are yo-yoing between dieting and restricting and binge eating or overeating, you are putting your body through a constant crisis, okay? So eating less than you are hungry for triggers your body's survival mode. So it changes your hormones, it changes your brain chemistry, which then lowers your metabolism and makes you biologically obsessed with food. It is not your willpower muscle. It is not your fault. Your brain is just trying to keep you alive. The mental fixation on food is actually caused by the physical restriction. Okay? Hey, Shauna, no worries. We're just diving in, so don't worry. So food fixation and binging are caused by your body trying to force you off of the diet or the famine for your survival. So if anyone ever here, like, just feel free to comment below. Like, you've been on a diet and you didn't last, and then you immediately beat yourself up. Anyone beat themselves up for not being able to stick to a diet? What I'm saying is right now, it's not your fault, okay? Because like I said, if you're obsessed with food and you're thinking about it all the time, that means you've actually triggered a famine state. If you're a binge eater or you're overeating, you are in a famine state. This is true no matter how much you weigh, how much you are sure you're already overeating. When you're not stuck in food survival mode, you can always go through your day and pretty much only think about food when you're hungry. Wouldn't that be nice? Okay? You'll eat what you crave, but you crave what you need. Okay? Sometimes you might want a salad. Sometimes you might want a cookie. Sometimes you crave fruit. Sometimes you crave a steak. Okay? You can eat when you're distracted, tired, or stressed, or maybe you're sad, but you still stop when you get full. Okay? Carmen, I'm so excited to see this in full later today. Thank you for doing this. You're welcome, Carmen. And I'll make sure you guys, again, have the correct download, not just a triangle. Speaking of triangle, we're going to go there right now. So here's the thing. When it comes to getting out of famine mode, it's important and vital that to get your safety and physiology handled first when it comes to trying to handle your emotional or overeating. So think of Maslow's hierarchy of needs. That's that little triangle that when you go to download my ebook, it just comes up without the ebook. So think about Maslow's hierarchy of needs in that triangle. The very bottom two pieces of the triangle are physiological and safety, okay? You can't move up to the very top is like, okay, the next ones are love and belonging and then esteem and then self-actualization. You cannot reach those higher levels and be the best mom and the best woman and the best wife that you're meant to be if physiological and safety are not met. You cannot be the best mom or the best wife if you're obsessing about food all the time. You can't. Your body is triggered and it's in a famine response, okay? So you need to eat enough to feel satisfied so your brain isn't screaming at you. When you are nourished and fed, your brain isn't in overdrive to eat. Then your cravings naturally go away, emotions get easier to cope with, and all that fighting in your brain goes away. So this time right now that we're living in with the coronavirus and all this chaos is not the time to diet, okay? It's also not the time to say, oh, screw it, I'll just eat whatever I want. There is a happy medium. You need to take care of your physiology needs so that your brain can take care of you and stop yelling at you to eat. Does that make sense? Any questions on that so far? So now you're gonna ask, okay, well, that's great, but how do I do that? So step 2, how to manage stress and change the way you feel. And then what's the difference between emotional eating and numbing out? Okay, so first, how can we change the way we feel? I want you to follow these steps below. You can feel free to take notes, but know that these are in the ebook, okay? And I'll send you that link to download this right after the video. Just hopped on, but this does make sense. Thanks, Katie. All right, so how do you change the way you feel? Let's say that the first thing you do is like you notice that you feel kind of off. We all have those days. For me, it's usually when I'm PMSing. I'm like, I just feel kind of off. So the first thing is just to recognize that you feel weird, okay? And then the first step is to name your feelings. So for example, out loud, if possible, out loud or write it in a journal, I'm feeling anxious. I'm feeling stressed. I'm feeling annoyed. I'm feeling angry. I'm feeling overwhelmed. Name your feelings. Number 2, where in your body do you feel it? Okay, for me, let's say just for example, the other day, I was feeling a lot of anxiety. I felt it in my chest, kind of my upper stomach, my chest, and kind of almost my throat. That's where I felt it in my body. Just getting present to where it is in your body is really helpful. Number 3, this is kind of weird, but go with me here. If the anxiety or whatever that feeling is, the overwhelm, the stress, the anger, if it could talk, what would it be saying to you? Okay. Number 4, ask yourself, what do I actually need right now? Okay, because we all know that chocolate's not going to help. I'm going to go into that in a minute, but ask yourself, what do I need right now? Is it connection? Is it a hug? Is it a phone call from a friend? Is it to snuggle with your pet? Is it I just need to like take a bath? Like, what do you actually need right now? And then the 5th step, what small step can you do to meet your needs? One small step, okay? And then number 6, gratitude. What are you truly grateful for at this minute? Something, it could be super small. It could be like, I took a shower today. It could be really, really small, but one small thing of gratitude. And then the 7th thing, this is hard, but I want you to smile at yourself. Smile at yourself in the mirror. So it sounds weird, and it is weird, but it's one of those things that you fake it till you make it. The actual act of smiling changes just these facial muscles in this position it actually changes brain chemistry, okay? So that's one of those things, fake it till you make it, okay? So those steps are how you can change how you're feeling. You can go from anxiety to maybe just stressed, okay? I'm not saying you're gonna do these steps and go from anxiety to like thrilled. That's just a huge jump, okay? So don't expect yourself to go from like anger to like happy. Maybe anger to like sad, or anger to sad, or sad to like just neutral, okay? All right, let's talk about how do we actually prevent emotional eating. So first, let's talk a little bit about how I define emotional eating. It's not all bad. So hang with me here. We are human beings and we have emotions all the time. Okay? We're not robots. Robots don't have emotions. Okay? The notion that you could just eat without emotions is kind of silly if you think about it. We're not just robots that need like little pellets of food and then we like move on. Like that whole like food is fuel, right? Who's heard of that? Food is fuel. Just like hit me a like. Food is fuel. Like I wish I could just only eat food for fuel. I agree. And we're not robots. We are not just machines that need fuel. We have human emotions. So what happens if you have a great day at work and you're super happy, you just got a raise, you got a huge promotion, and you come home and you eat a cookie? Does that mean you just emotionally ate because you're happy? I don't know. Maybe you were happy and you wanted a cookie, right? Or think about the other way. Maybe you had a really, really, really crappy day, like someone just cut you off in traffic and you were just pissed off, and you come home and you're like, and then you eat a cookie. Does that mean you're emotionally eating? I don't know. Maybe. Okay? So we're human beings. We have emotions and we need to eat. Here's the difference, okay? There's a difference between emotional eating and like to nourish your body and numbing out. So let's take, for example, let's say you had a terrible, terrible day at work and you come home and you're like, God, today was terrible. Like, I just want to like sit down. I want a nice cozy meal. I want something like grounding, comforting, warm, right? Like maybe you want a big big bowl of chili and you just want to like sit down with that chili and just relax and eat that chili with cheese melted all on top. Could that be emotional eating? Yeah, maybe. Is it bad? No. Here's what doesn't work. Coming home from work, saying, I had the worst day ever. I'm going to just sit with this bowl of chili and numb out. Like, I'm not going to feel my feelings. I'm just going to pretend nothing happened. I'm just going to keep shoveling this down until I don't feel well. Okay? That's where there's the line. Hey, Christy, that's where there's the line. Okay? So think about, you're going to eat for how you want to feel. Okay? So I want you to ask yourself, how do I want to feel right now? If you had a really, really, really crappy day, you might want to eat something different than if you're about to go for a hike. Okay, so think about, okay, I'm about to go do a workout. What kind of foods do I want to eat that's going to fuel my body, that feels good? Maybe you have like a protein bar, or maybe you have a banana with some peanut butter, and that's like something light, and you're about to go to your workout. Now, if you just came home from work and you had a terrible, terrible day, and you just need to feel comforted, having a big bowl of chili is gonna feel nourishing and grounded. Okay, so there's a difference. There's a difference between emotional eating and, not to go off topic too much here, but during this time, emotional eating and dealing with stress is not the worst strategy ever. Okay, you could be doing a lot of other things that are really unhealthy for you, drinking, binge drinking, but there's a lot of other habits that are a lot worse than, I had a really crappy day, I'm super stressed, I'm going to eat these chocolate covered almonds right now. Okay? It might be a totally appropriate response to stress. So here's the thing though. Can you sit down, eat some chocolate, take some deep breaths, relax, and take that moment for yourself as a part of self-care? Chocolate can totally be a part of self-care. You just have to actually make sure you're honoring your body doing it. That doesn't mean hiding in the pantry and shoving it down, okay? That's not self-care. Self-care is taking your chocolate-covered almonds from Costco that are so delicious, sitting down in a comfy chair, breathing, being like, okay, you know what? It's been a really tough day today. I'm going to relax, I'm going to slow down, I'm going to enjoy the heck out of these chocolate-covered almonds, and then I'm going to move on with my day, okay? That is a way more, nourishing way to eat chocolate than shoveling it down by handfuls while you're doing 10 million other things, okay? So Katie said, so it's actually good to emotionally eat, to feel your emotions and process them on purpose. Exactly, Katie. It's impossible to not emotionally eat. Does that make sense? We have emotions. We are human. So sometimes I think we make emotional eating so bad that we stress ourselves out. And then that stress causes your body to go back into that physiological stress state or famine mode. So stressing yourself out over it is almost worse. Eat the dang chocolate, sit down, relax with it, and then move on with your life, okay? If you're trying to restrict it and you're trying to avoid it, guess what your brain does? Just constantly thinks about it all the time, okay? So with emotional eating, and let's say we do want to find some tools on how to prevent it. Maybe you are numbing out with food. Maybe you feel like I am just in the pantry way too much. We need to find ways to comfort, nurture, and distract and resolve our issues without using food. So anxiety, loneliness, boredom, anger, those are all emotions that we experience through life, and each has its own trigger. Food won't fix any of these feelings. We know that, okay? It may comfort you in the short term, distract you from the pain, or even numb you into a food hangover, but it won't solve the problem. If anything, you'll feel worse in the long run. You guys all know this. But first, we must detect your vulnerability to eating problems. It might not be emotions, okay? This is huge. A lot of people think, at least clients that I work with, think that they're compulsive overeaters or they're binge eaters or they're emotional eaters because they watch themselves excessively eat. But before you can explore the emotional connections you may have with eating, it's so important to determine whether or not your eating is actually based on difficulties you're having handling emotions. Just like I said, there's a difference, okay? There's a line. Or rather, are you emotionally eating because it's a consequence of lack of self-care? Or are you feeling deprived from a restriction or a diet mentality? Okay? If your self-care is lacking, it's so hard to tune into your body and accurately hear your hunger and fullness cues. Okay? So we're going to do a self-care assessment really quick. Okay, I'm gonna go through these really fast, but in the ebook, you'll have some journaling prompts to go along with these. Okay, really quick, I'm gonna check in. Shelby said, I think my problem is mindless eating without thinking. Yes. Okay, so I'm gonna take this is like a quick side note to address that. Okay, so awareness. Researchers estimate that 30 to 40% of your total digestive response starts in your brain. Okay, so let's do the math. If you are rushing around, not paying attention, just shoveling the chocolate in while you're doing 12 other things, you're in the car, you're rushing kids to, not anymore right now, but let's say you're rushing kids to soccer, you're doing this, you're trying to teach homeschool, and you're trying to watch the news, and you're trying to cook lunch, and you're eating, okay? You get the picture? If 30 to 40% of your total digestive response starts in your brain and you are not paying attention when you're eating, that means your digestion is only functioning at 60 to 70% efficiency. So if your digestion is only functioning at 60 to 70% efficiency, that means there's lack of blood flow, lack of oxygen, and lack of attention to your gut. What that means is that your gut is not able to process the nutrients, and your metabolism is not functioning at its highest. Your metabolism goes, whoa, like, where are we? We must be stressed out. It shifts into that fight or flight response. That fight or flight response means that this is all just like a system that's going down, all from you not paying attention when you eat. Then your metabolism slows down and your body holds on to fat. It's stressed. Think about it. Your body doesn't know the difference between you rushing and speed eating and throwing it down versus an angry gorilla chasing you. It doesn't know the difference. If there's an angry gorilla chasing you, your body does not care about digesting the Fruit Loops you just ate. It's saying, shut this down and run. The problem is your body is going, shut this down and run when you are trying to lose weight, or you're trying to have your metabolism work efficiently right now, okay? So mindfulness and paying attention is huge, okay? 9 out of 10 people that tell me that they overeat don't actually have an overeating problem. They're just not paying attention, okay? So really quick, I'm gonna go through this self-care checklist very quick. Remember, we're making sure that these are in place so that you're not led to overeating or binge eating or emotional eating. Sleep. Are you getting enough sleep? Life balance. Where is your life out of balance, okay? Where do we need some more attention, okay? Nourishment. Are you a slow, relaxed eater? Do you have a good eating rhythm? Christy talked about earlier in her post, she plans out her dinners. She's eating a breakfast, lunch, dinner, and snacks. That's a consistent eating rhythm. If you are skipping meals or you're having low quality food, and like I said, skipping meals, it's called arrhythmia. Your body thrives on rhythm. If you don't have a good eating rhythm, it sends your body into that famine or that stress response, which we don't want. We already talked about, okay? And then stress. How are you managing your stress? Okay, if you are always constantly and chronically stressed, I don't care how healthy of an eater you are, if you're chronically stressed and you're not managing your stress, there is no amount of calorie burning and treadmilling that's gonna get you and your metabolism where you wanna go, okay? So how do you manage your stress? Meditate, talk with a friend, therapy online, online play dates, get moving, do your exercise, journal. Christy talked about journaling too, okay? Okay, Katie said, yes, I learned this with a nutritionist. We must stop and sit when we eat. You're right. It's hard, but it's so important. I would say pick one meal a day that you really focus on slowing down with. Sometimes it's hard to do every meal. It's kind of unrealistic as a mom. You know, my kids are throwing mac and cheese across the floor. But pick one meal that you can really focus on, okay? So let's talk about emotional eating tools, and then we're almost done here, okay? Number 1. Learn to sit with your feelings, okay? Take a time out and ask yourself, what am I feeling right now? Before you put food in your mouth, set a timer for 5 minutes. Explore any feelings or emotional triggers that you're experiencing that might be causing your desire to eat. So asking yourself, what am I feeling right now? And don't worry, all of these tools are in the ebook, okay? When that timer goes off, take a moment to ponder if you still have the desire to eat. If your answer is yes, ask yourself, what do I need at this moment to deal with my current feelings? Do you need quiet time? Do you need to speak to a friend? Do you need a hug? Do you need to feel more connected? Do you need more pleasure, etc.? Then ask yourself, how can I fulfill this need without turning to food? Okay. Number 2, helpful distraction. It's okay to use distraction. Hold on, I'm going to shut my door. Oh, it is shut. Okay. My husband's coming in. He's kind of loud talking on the phone. Okay, so helpful distraction. It's okay to use distraction when it comes to learning to cope with your feelings about using food, okay? We need to be practical and realistic. So sometimes we simply just need a break from the negative feelings. You guys ever feel that way? Like sometimes I don't want to deal with my feelings right now. I just need a break. That's why we turn to food a lot of times. We don't want to process our feelings. So what can we do? I want you to find a non-destructive activity that can give you an alternative to difficult feelings that might give you some satisfaction, okay? So, we need some joy and laughter. So let's make a list of activities. I want you to make a list of activities that you could do to bring you joy and laughter without turning to food, okay? Dancing, music, movies, like watching a funny, comedy, doing a puzzle, a crossword, reading a good book that's really engaging, watching a good movie, playing a game, lots of things. I want you to pick things that make you feel good, that are a good distraction, okay? Even just getting outside for a 5-minute walk, okay? 5-minute walk, that's it. And then give yourself permission to not be with your feelings. And then pick an activity and immerse yourself. It's okay. You don't have to deal with those emotions right then. You can deal with them later. Okay? Sometimes we can't, it's hard. And then you can start visualizing your ideal future and when it comes to dealing with food. Okay? So what tactics are you going to use to help distract yourself? Okay? Feel free to comment below. I'm sure other people would find this helpful. Maybe we can all generate some ideas of what things you want to use to help distract yourself if you're feeling those really urges to eat and you're not hungry. Okay. So next is the third thing is the stress snacking questionnaire. Okay. This is before you go to get a snack and you're not hungry. I want you to ask yourself, what am I feeling right now? What feeling or relief am I hoping that eating provides? And then what do I actually need in this moment that will support me in feeling how I want to feel? Okay, and if I do choose to eat, how can I make sure that I'm present and honoring what my body needs? Okay, here's an affirmation for you. I am strong enough to be with this emotion. I am safe to feel what I need to. What I need matters. What you need matters. Okay? I choose to honor my body and take care of my needs. That is something that you can write down on your mirror, an eyeliner, or on a sticky note and read that to yourself every day. You are strong enough to be with these emotions. You are safe to feel what you need to. You matter. You choose to honor your body and take care of your needs. Okay? And here's the thing, you could have the best coach, the best therapist, the best journaling exercises, all the tips and tricks, but if your brain doesn't feel safe and doesn't feel taken care of, you are going to be thinking about food and overeating. We need to get you out of survival mode. You need to get to a place where you are working with your brain and body to get out of the stress response so that you can get out of the food and stress connection. Okay, right now, there's just a connection in your brain. Stress, eat food. Stress, eat food. Stress, eat food. We got to break that, okay? So remember on the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, that triangle, to get to that self-esteem, those higher levels of becoming the best you, again, we need women like you, empowered women. We need you up in that higher triangle, okay? We need your needs to be met in order to handle these difficult situations and times we're in right now. We need you to help the community. When you are stuck in food hell and obsessing, how are you supposed to show up for your family and friends and your community and yourself if you're stuck in survival mode? How can you be that beacon of light if you're stuck down there? So I know this stuff is confusing and it's hard. And it's really hard to quiet those survival mechanisms and teach yourself to self-regulate. It is hard. But I hope that some of these steps that I showed you today can help you get through this. Right now, I do have some spots open to talk with you guys in this group. I opened up some special slots just for the people in this group, just for you guys. I'm not sure how long though. As you guys know, like work schedules, and my husband is home now, thank goodness, but he might not be. So I'm opening up some breakthrough calls to help you with this step-by-step process to get you out of survival mode. And I want to support you through this. You're not alone. This is why Christy made this group. You're not alone. I'll post the link to my website and some more resources and other helpful tools that I found. I'll also post my scheduling link if you're interested, and I'm going to fix that download right now. So you're not just getting a triangle, I promise. So I'll do that right now. Shauna, Shelby, thank you guys so much. Katie, let's see who else. Christy, Anna, Gail, Brianna, thank you guys so much for hopping on. I have a few more minutes. Do you guys have any questions? How long was this? I tried to keep it short and sweet. I know I had to start over a few times. You're welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome. I love what I do. Thank you again, Christy, for having me on. I'm floating around in the group too, so if you guys have more questions, feel free to post in the group and just tag me, or find me on social media. I'm on Facebook, and I'm on Instagram, eatingpsych_coach. It's EATINGPSYC_coach, and you can follow my stupid, silly Instagram stories as well. And I do lots more free trainings. I also have an emotional eating support group. So just let me know if you guys have any questions. And thank you so much for your time and for watching this live. Thanks for hanging out with me for 30 minutes. I really appreciate it. 45 for those of you who are on the first one and it didn't work. So thank you guys so much. And I will go fix those links right now. Bye.